In this segment, I'm going to talk about the 7th Congressional District, the District Convention. And there was something that went on there today that you need to be aware of. And that is we had this resolution brought to the floor, which I was actually the author of it. And the title is... it's a resolution of the 7th Congressional District to oppose the increased state convention delegate fee. And that right there should tell you this would be a no-brainer that it would pass, right? Unfortunately, you're wrong. But we're going to get to why this is such a surprise a little later on this segment. The thing is, one of the reasons why I was hoping this would pass is that, and unfortunately at the moment, a few hours ago today, I failed to mention that the 7th Congressional District, we actually do not charge anything for delegates to attend, or even guests to attend our convention, unlike some other conventions out there. I think 3rd District was $15, and the 6th District is $20. And so let me read this resolution to you. And as I'm reading it, I want you, the listener, to ask yourself, what do you think the price of participating in the political process should be? So here we go. Again, this is a resolution of the 7th Congressional District to oppose the increased state convention delegate fee. It says, whereas the state convention delegate fee for 2013 was $40, this year the delegate fee was raised to $75, which is a steep percentage increase of 47% over last year's convention. Whereas the state convention delegate fee was recently raised in 2013 to $40 from $35 in 2012. Whereas in a search of hotels conducted on April 13th, 2014, via the website Hotels.com, it was found that the cheapest hotel in Cherokee, North Carolina, was $105 a night. Oy, oy, oy. Whereas in 2012 and 2013, the author of this resolution, which is moi, paid an average rate of $55 a night and was within a 20-minute drive of the convention site. Whereas in 2014, the closest hotel at the $55 a night price point was in Gatlinburg, a 1-hour drive from the convention site. Therefore, let it be resolved that the 7th Congressional District finds the actions of the North Carolina Republican Party leadership in raising the delegate fee from $40 in 2013 to $75 this year to be inappropriate at this time. Be it further resolved that the 7th Congressional District of the NCGOP would request that the North Carolina Republican Party leadership lower the delegate fee to $40 for next year's convention. Be it further resolved that the 7th Congressional District would request to the North Carolina Republican Party leadership that any future increase in the convention delegate fee exceeding 10% from the previous year's convention must be passed by a 2/3 majority vote of the Central Committee, followed by a 2/3 majority vote of the Executive Committee. The 7th Congressional District hereby believes in keeping the state convention delegate fee as affordable as possible in order to encourage more participation in the political process for all registered Republicans in the state of North Carolina. Wow, quite a read there. Now, I want to thank Michelle Nix for allowing this resolution to be heard on the convention floor today. I also want to thank Jay Vicks, who spoke in support of this resolution, as well as a buddy of mine who I had never met before from Johnston County. Unfortunately, I had some pretty fierce opposition, and I'm sorry to say the source of the opposition was none other than the state Republican Party chair, Claude Pope. The first point he brought about was that the $40 delegate fee that I paid last year was an early bird special, which is true. However, this year, you see, there is no early bird special. It's you got to pay the $75 or you can't go to the convention is pretty much what the leadership is articulating with this. Also, he talked about the cost of convention. He said there's a very great cost to having the convention. And yeah, that is true, but see, there are two things. One, you have to realize that, yes, this is a major fundraiser for the North Carolina Republican Party. But you also have to keep in mind that we need people to get involved. Because the last I heard on election night, it's not about how much money a political party raises. It's not about how much money a candidate raises. It's about how many votes. If does the Republican Party have more votes than the Democrat Party? That is the number one thing that matters. Number two is that I went to many executive committee meetings and central committee meetings on my own money, burning a lot of gas and miles on my car, and I was told, I remember at least on 3 separate occasions, that the state party was going to save a lot of money by having the convention in Cherokee. And my thing is, if the state party was saving money on having this convention in Cherokee, why did the delegate fee go up so drastically? It feels like that yours truly and many Republicans across the state of North Carolina were lied to by the leadership. Another thing I wanted to, and I wanted to apologize to Claude Pope if I kind of pointed a finger at him, because he mentioned that this was already planned out under the Robin Hayes administration. But yet, I would say to Mr. Pope that, I really think if you wanted to, you could have stopped this delegate fee increase, and I'm disappointed that he did not decide to do that. But 2015 we have another chairman's election race, and we'll see what happens. Let's see, what else was I going to say? I did have one very good suggestion from a member of the TARS, where they call themselves the Teenage Republicans, and he mentioned, how about a student discount? I said that's a very good idea, because the thing is, this delegate fee increase is going to hurt a lot of the under 30 crowd, the young people, the people the Republican Party needs to reach if they're going to have any shot at being a relevant party in this country. And I would also say that, how about a geographic discount? In other words, if you live east of I-95, maybe you pay, say, you pay maybe a $10 or $20 delegate fee, or maybe even $0 delegate fee. And then in a few years' time, if the convention is in Wilmington, the people west of Asheville pay a drastically reduced delegate fee. Let's see, what else? What were some other things that Mr. Pope said? Mentioned that next year is going to be Raleigh, the year after that Greensboro. So trying to say, well, can't you just skip this one? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Our country is in such dire straits, guys, and I just find it utterly repulsive that a state party chair would just decide to aid and abet in this action to put a barrier between the people and participation in the political process. Let's see, what else what was I gonna say? Now, yes, we in the grassroots Tea Party movement, we suffered a pretty big defeat today, but we don't give up. And there is a way. It's a lot more difficult, but there is a way that we can advance this forward. So I want you to listen up, take very good notes. The first thing that you need to do is you need to find a way to make sure you're in Cherokee the first weekend in June. Okay? I'm gonna eat a lot more ramen noodles, and I need to lose some weight too. So maybe some green beans instead of green bean casserole would be a way to do it. But please try to get to Cherokee the first weekend in June. And another thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to print a lot of, well, first I'm going to have to kind of reword some things because some of it was kind of finger pointing, and I really didn't want to do that. I need to keep the focus on the delegate fee increase and not so much, personally attack Claude Pope, because I apologize if I did that. But we're going to need 1,000 copies of this resolution, and so I don't have a printer, but I can certainly maybe spare $10, go to the library, print out 100 copies, and then 9 other people would print out 100 copies each. Distribute those on the convention floor, and then I would make a motion on the convention floor to the convention chair to have this resolution brought to the floor. And what I mean by that is the state plan of organization says that you need 2/3 majority vote to get the resolution heard. Now, if it would have passed today, then it would have gone through the state resolutions committee instead of just one person, which was Michelle Nixon. I again appreciate her for allowing this to be brought to the floor today, because this is a very, very matter of great concern to myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people out there. But it would have gone to committee. Sometimes Maddie Lawson from District 3 said at the convention a couple weeks ago that I attended as a guest, she said sometimes these resolutions die in the black hole of the committee. So we probably needed a backup plan anyway, but just keep in mind I need 1,000 copies, and we're going to try to get this. I need 2/3 of the delegates to vote yes to have this resolution brought to the floor for business. Let's see. Let's review the straw poll results. I would say that going in, I kind of predicted Tom Tillis to win, because Johnston County and Brunswick County are two counties where you have a lot of your establishment Republicans. But he won by a pretty big landslide here. He won with 55% of the vote, and then Mark Harris and Greg Brannon tied at 21%, and then Grant and Alexander had 1% of the vote, and there were probably a couple little votes bandied about for Mr. Bradshaw and a few other candidates too. Rouser, I knew Rouser would win, but 60% is very convincing for his campaign. Woody White has to be disappointed at the 32%. I would say this about Woody White, and I already actually voted for Rouser, and but Woody White is a very dynamic speaker, and I think he's doing a really good job with the way he's running his campaign, because he's telling a story of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Hey, I'm this family man. I'm a lawyer. I've never been a lobbyist in Washington like Dave Rouser, and I just want to go up to Washington and be that citizen's politician. But I would say, though, that David Rouser does have a more conservative record as a legislature, and that's why I voted for him, because Dave Rouser cut taxes and he cut spending when he was a state senator from Johnston County in North Carolina legislature. Woody White, on the other hand, he's a big spender on county commission, especially on incentives. He wastes taxpayer money on incentives for these companies that come to Wilmington. They maybe create 20, 30, they're lucky 50 jobs, but the cost to taxpayers severely outweighs the cost to the economic benefit for the community.